Hi guys, this is Spudknocker here. I will freely admit that I am not much of a Viggen guy. Pretty much a noob when it comes to using the Viggen and all of its parts. And so as a result of that, I thought I should make this video to kind of help other people who might be in this position. So we'll go ahead and get her started up here. Turn on the generators. Mission systems on. Turn on the fuel pump. And we can turn on the start system. Close the canopy, and that way we can hear ourselves think now as the flights all take off. Alright, so not sure why that happened. I've never seen that happen before in DCS World, getting denied a startup. That's kind of strange, but that is okay. Alright, so I will be zooming in and out. I'm also using track IR, so sorry if it's a little rough for some of you guys. I always like to turn my lights on, especially in the Viggen with the dark cockpit. The deferred shading tends to make cockpits really dark when you're facing into the sun. And the Viggen is definitely no exception to that. So now that we've got our engines started, put in our data cartridge. Put it to in. Put in 9099. Enter. And our data cartridge will be loaded into the Viggen's mission computer. So I found the Viggen to be kind of daunting at first when it comes to learning it, because I'm used to more Western type avionics that are all relatively similar to each other. When you say moving from the A-10 to the AV-8B to hopefully the new Hornet soon, things are rather similar. There's differences, of course, but there's even similarities, I feel like, in the Mirage. But with the Viggen, everything is totally different. And that has to do with just the mission set of the aircraft, which is, in this part, just simply anti-ship and boom and zoom type strike missions, which are different than other aircraft, especially in the Western inventories, that you want to be able to make second passes on targets and things like that for close air support and all that. So here we're in red flag in a Viggen as part of a strike package. We're the last to taxi out. We are in the revetment ramp because we are going to have live weapons on our aircraft. As you can see, the F-15s took off earlier, and they we're not carrying live weapons, so they actually got to taxi from the regular F ramps on the other side of the runways here. Because the Viggen has the shortest legs of all the aircraft and does not have in-flight refueling capabilities, we are the last to take off. Put our computer back to out. For some reason on this campaign, the sounds tend to be a little laggy almost, and I'm just wondering if that's just due to all the different assets of the campaign all coming together, if that just simply overloads DCS a little bit and maybe the sounds are the thing to go instead of the FPS, which I'm locked at a really nice 60 to 62 frames per second thanks to a nice beefy computer. So the F-16 CJs are taxiing out now. We should be pretty soon behind those guys. I think we can taxi. Obviously going to wait for other two Viggens to taxi out, as they're going to hit the target 30 seconds before us. Our target today is a radar array. That is relatively lightly defended, that we should hopefully be able to punch through. Just transition to the strike package common frequency, and the tornadoes are all airborne now. So this jet is really nice to fly. Just the hard part with it is setting up the controls of the weapons and different systems and things, and getting to know this knob here, this knob, as well as this knob. Those are the main points of contention that made learning the Viggen really difficult for me. So we're going to swap over into navs as we get ready to taxi here. We're already getting RWR indications. I think that's probably from our AWACS, who's taken off at the moment and going up to his station. Cycling through some waypoints here. All right, looks like we are ready to taxi. All right, hurry up and wait. So I know a lot of people really frown on using labels, but I find that in a campaign setting here, we are supposed to be in a certain place at a certain time, and all these different units around, I find that just peeking at the labels can sometimes really help, especially in really chaotic environments like you're going to see later on in this campaign. And it is, of course, just a game. So all of the F-16s are now airborne, and it is the Viggen flight's turns for takeoff.
Dutch 2, Apple.
Alright, first Swedish flight is airborne. Just get lined up on the center line here. And away we go. That was quite the embarrassing takeoff. Sorry about that, guys. Mid nav going to B1. Out of afterburner now, and we are now heading to waypoint B2. And in the interest of making things as expedient as possible for our short-legged Viggens here, they have made the routes to our Marshall points as straight as possible. The mission planners had the wisdom to do that for us. So here's our previous Viggen flight, as you can see there. We're supposed to be a bit behind them, so I'm going to let them kind of do their thing, kind of get out of their way. Currently in autopilot at the moment, which is a altitude and attitude hold. The two short little course corrections there you saw is just me using the trim hat switch on my HOTAS. Right there, I just switched off the sound for the EW system. Don't really need to hear the beeps at the moment, but when we get into bad guy territory, I will definitely turn the beeps back on. There's my wingy out there. Hey, buddy. So the biggest instrument to pay attention to in the Viggen is your radar display and the HSI around it. One thing to be wary of that really kind of got me at first was this symbol here, which is on your your north, east, south, and west degree marks, and I kept getting that mixed up with this yellow marker here, which is your actual course marker. Now, a more precise course marker is on your HUD here. You want to put your flight path marker on that little dot to be absolutely lined up. Here's our other Viggen flight out there. Now there's many modes on the computer here.
On station at bullseye 0904120 at 25,000.
You can play with around there. I was looking for the time countdown to the next waypoint, which I believe is this one, but I'm not totally sure why it's not counting down. Oops. Of course, we got an armor ejection seat in case we get shot down. That's important. So I have all graphics settings maxed out except for heat blur and civilian traffic. I have heat blur set on low and civilian traffic set to off.
Dodge 1-1, Overlord, Bra 295 for 100 at 22,000 knots.
That's our AWACS already making calls for us about potential enemies that are patrolling over the area.
Dodge 1-1, Overlord, Bra 294 for 100 at 22,000 knots.
My system is currently consisting of a Intel i7-7700K.
Dodge 1-1, Overlord, Bra 295 for 100 at 21,000 flanking.
With a GTX 1080. I'm currently running with 16 gigabytes of RAM.
1-1, Overlord, Bra 294 for 100 at 16,000 knots.
Which seems to be adequate at the moment. Once in a while I get a little stutter, and I'm not sure if that's RAM, GPU, or CPU issue, but for the most part it's pretty solid 60 FPS everywhere I go. I also have VSync turned on to help with that, to keep you more a steady FPS rate. This weapons chart is really helpful, and it's part of the documents that come with the Viggen, and it gives you the different weapons you can use, different modes they have, as well as the different computer selections you must make in order to use those modes that you want. And I find it to be extremely helpful, especially in an aircraft with an avionics system as confusing as this one is.
Dodge 1-1, Overlord, Bra 286 for 110 at 22,000 cold.
Always like to have the
Overlord, Bra 286 for 100 at 22,000 cold.
the documents that come with the campaign at my disposal here, if I need it. Always make sure to read through those really carefully before you fly, especially a complex mission such as this.
Ford 4 on station at bullseye 089 for 124,000. Ford 3 on station at bullseye 078 for 120. Left spike 10 o'clock.
So it looks like the Russians are pinging us. They're starting to, at least with long-range radars, not fire control radars yet, as the RWR contacts are very intermittent at the moment. Another really important instrument is this guy right here. It kind of tells you how many miles you have to your current target waypoint or your navigation waypoint. Right now it's in Swedish miles, which is 10 kilometers per Swedish mile, and then once it counts down to 0 Swedish miles, it'll recalculate into kilometers. So I got another RWR ping off to the right hand side, and those would be our AWACS aircraft who are in an orbit somewhere over here. The RWR pings to our left hand side are out here, and those are probably the Russian early warning radars. Another one right off to on our left-hand side there. Almost due west. And that is probably our operations area out there somewhere. So I'm going to take it out of autopilot, and I think I'm going to gain a little bit of altitude, try and get a little bit more efficient in terms of my gas. As you can see on our radar display, as we get closer to our waypoint, that circle is actually the area that our waypoint is in, which is kind of nice. Gives you kind of a good visual representation on where it is in the area. And you can see the strike package is coming together. If you're having trouble keeping track of all the different radio calls and whatnot, Dark Star is the AWACS. He's the aircraft kind of controlling everything. Ford, usually car manufacturer names, are fighters like the F-15Cs that are conducting MiG caps and fighter sweeps in front of us. Uzi, or weapons, are usually seed flights for suppressing air defenses, as well as destroying air defenses. Well, getting a little close to Colt here.
Colt 2 on station at Bull 086 Fort 100 at 13,000.
Just another reason I like having the labels at my disposal, because as you can see, they're pretty hard to see without the labels. It's just one of those things in DCS World that because it's just a game, why not use them, right?
Dodge 1-1, Overlord, Bra 270, Fort 110 at 21,000 knots.
Just bringing up that info bar down there for the time. Still pushing through to our Marshall point here. Oh shit, they are really close. Sorry guys. Whew, boy. This was real life. I would have had my ass chewed out. Boy. That's my bad. Sorry, Colt.
Dodge 1-1, Overlord, Bra 267, 4100 at 21,000 knots.
Now, our Marshall Point is just north of Dodge 2's Marshall Point. So we'll just keep on this altitude and just try and slide right underneath Dodge 2 here.
Dodge 2, on station, standing by for push.
Alright. We are at our Marshall Point. So we're going to kind of move into our orbit here in Marshall. Put on our autopilot, put in our iPod, chill out for a few minutes here. Out in this area here. So out in that area. So Dodge 2 is going pretty far west in his Marshall orbit. We're going to stay farther to the east because we have to push after he does, have a 30-second separation on target. So we're going to take this opportunity to go ahead and set up our computer for
Dodge 1-1, Overlord, Bra 257, 4110 at 22,000 flanking.
So we're carrying
Dodge
our
1-1,
rocket pods.
Overlord, Bra 258, 4100 at 22,000 flanking.
So attack mode, I'm going to leave it in nav and just unsafe my master arm. So, yep, we're in attack. So when you unsafe your trigger, your symbology will change to this guy here. And that way you know that your rockets are ready to fire. Flip it back into safe and you get your navigation display again. Now I find that to be really important, especially when you're trying to get out of Dodge after you blast your target.
Overlord, Bra 269, 490 at 21,000 cold.
Guessing that those guys are actually probably some F-15s based on their position in the sky around us. So once we push, we're going to fly a nape of the Earth down towards B3 here. Keep going to B4, which is our initial point. We'll make a sharp right-hand turn and fly up here to M5, which is our target point. There's supposed to be some light AAA in the area, it's like probably ZPUs, but not too worried about those, as hopefully we'll be too fast for their tracking. What we do have to be worried about is this SAM site here and these SAM sites here if the weasels don't take them out. And that's why we'll be flying on nape of the earth flight paths to get out of the line of sight of those radar guided SAMs and IR guided SAMs as well. Wingy is still there. Right now it's kind of just a wait thing.
Dodge Gwen 1, Overlord, Bra 262, Fort 110 at 21,000, flanking. Dodge Gwen 1, Overlord, Bra 263, Fort 110 at 21,000, flanking. Colt 1, pushing from waypoint 5 at 14,000.
There go our CJs. So just put in that code to disable motion tracking, because our target is a radar installation and that target will be stationary. Okay, that is our cue to push. Now, because we have to make this kind of overarching turn back towards B3, I believe we should have enough separation with the other Dodge flights, and based on our looks like our countdown is working again, so that's nice. Just double checking that our rockets are ready to go when we need them.
Dodge Gwen 1, Overlord, Bra 266, 480 at 21,000 knots.
So since we're flying towards our waypoint before our initial point, we want to make sure we get the aircraft trimmed out as much as possible so that we don't have to be thinking about flying the airplane when we are down in the mud getting shot at. You can see the AWACS is still showing up on our RWR because there's a radar contact coming from behind us. So that call was an F-15 flight. They're passing Mount Irish. That's probably the second wave of mid-cap or fighter sweep jets.
Dodge 1-1, Overlord, Bra, 263, 490 at 22,000, flanking. Dodge 1-1, Overlord, Bra, 269, 470 at 21,000, flanking.
Wingy is still there.
Dodge 1-1, Overlord, Bra, 263, 490 at 22,000, flanking.
Once we get to B3, I am going to turn our sound back on for our RWR, because that's when we're probably going to get into trouble in terms of getting shot at. Just making sure we're in the right position here. So we're a little bit ahead of the other flight, so we're going to go ahead and make a 360. Let Dodge 1. Looks like we pushed a little bit early. We want to make sure those seed flights have definitely done their jobs before we get in the mud down there. So I'm going to take this time to check the chaff and flare systems. So there goes some flares, so I have chaff. And there's a couple flares. Awesome.
Colt 1, type triple A at bullseye 060 for 28.
Yep.
Colt 1, type radar at bullseye 059 for 27.
So I'm glad that I looked at the F10 map there, because I did not want to push before the Dodge flight, or especially not the seed flights.
Colt 1, type Sam at bullseye 056 for 27.
Yeah, we're getting better there.
Colt 1, type triple A at bullseye 064 for 26.
So this is probably a gigantic waste of gas, but we don't want to get eaten by a SAM or eaten by the fragments from Dodge 2. Yeah, we're getting behind Dodge.
Dodge 1-1, Overlord, Bra, 273, 480 at 21,000, cold.
You just see the faintest little bit of our F-15 pals up there.
Colt 1, type triple A at bullseye 077 for 15.
Tornadoes are starting to earn their pay.
Colt 1, type radar at bullseye 074 for 15. Uzi 2, fence in. Colt 1. Left spike, 10 o'clock. Course 4, that's your port side, sweeping north. Bullseye 060, full, Colt 1, type Sam at bullseye 096 for 24. East, engaging triple A at bullseye 044. Left spike, 12 o'clock.
So we're definitely behind Dodge 2 now. So we're going to go ahead and push back towards what B3.
Triple A at bull 091 for 24. Colt 1, that's it.
So as you hear these
Colt 1, type triple
radio calls, they'll get more and more as the battle unfolds. And if you listen to them carefully and you plot out mentally where Bullseye is and where the calls of the SAMs, AAA, Bandits, etc. are, it can really help you mentally plot where the threats are, or at least have an idea of the threats, not necessarily exactly where they are.
Golf 1, type AAA at Bullseye 104 for infra east, engaging SAM at Bullseye 0246 at Bullseye 0.
Like we're a little bit late now, so we're gonna go ahead and punch it. Just triple check that. So we can see two of our mid-cap up there. Alright. We are fenced in now, heading towards our initial point. Looks like we're roughly 30 seconds behind Dodge 2, but we're probably a little bit late, so we'll probably try and speed this up. We don't want to use burner too much, because last time I flew one of these missions, I accidentally ran my wingman out of gas. I'm going to turn our RJBR sound back on. Alright, we're going to go down to nape of the Earth now, as we get more and more RWR contacts. Yeah, we're definitely late, so I'm trying to hurry it up a bit here. So you always want to be scanning around, making sure nobody's sneaking up on you, no sneaky MiGs. Probably even a little too high right now. So there's a dead SAM right there. Oh, someone's locking up on me. So you can see their bombs exploding over there. That's where our target is. Hitting our initial point right about now. All right. So there's light AAA right there. There's Tunguska over there. Gotta get out of his way. Just keep dumping out chaff and flares. So my wingman isn't joining me, unfortunately. So there's that armor down there that we had in the mission briefing. We'll probably go after them at a later date. But for now, we want to be taking out air defenses, radars, air bases, these kinds of things before we start an interdiction campaign. Yeah, I gave my wingman the wrong order, and that's why he is getting in trouble, to say the least. Yep, he is not in a good place right now. I'm getting close to the FIBA. Once I cross the FIBA, I should be out of the woods and can probably gain some altitude, get a little more fuel economy. Yeah, once we cross this ridge line, we should be good. So he's starting to come along, but he is in real trouble, unfortunately. But that's why we're at Red Flag, to learn more, right? So let's take her upstairs. I didn't even see any MiGs or Sukhois on that flight. I saw one on the last mission I did, which is the same mission as this one. So I'm going to turn off my sound for my RWR, as well as the continuous dropping of flares, which I think I ran out of flares around that last ridge line that I crossed, getting across the FIBA. Now I just got to fight the adrenaline crash on the way to the forward operating base to get some gas. Hey, look, you caught up. Awesome. So now we're just going to have to fly on to land at the little pseudo-semi for forward operating base that they've set up here for this red flag exercise for the short-legged Viggens. I hope you guys liked my first DCS video. I hope some new Viggen people can get something out of it. Yep, there he goes. Out of gas. Oops. There goes the Christmas tree. Alright, well, thanks ED for this awesome sim, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks a lot, guys.
Come fly with me, let's float down to Peru. In Llama Land, there's a one-man band, and he'll toot his flute for you. Come fly with me, let's take off in the blue.